to the Fever Sky this Saturday are down to $8 with Caitlin Clark out.
Have you seen the buzz around Chicago Sky ticket prices? For a recent game without Caitlin Clark, tickets dropped to just $8, despite Angel Reese being on the court. Even her fans didn't turn out. But here's the shocking part. For the same matchup later in the season when Clark is expected to play, tickets are going for as much as $165. The contrast is staggering, and the numbers paint a clear picture about Reese's impact and how fans are responding to her performance this season.
It's a big nationally televised game, and no Caitlin Clark for this game. To my knowledge, Angel Reese is playing in this game. Judging by the ticket prices, nobody's going to see her. There's no demand.
What happens when Caitlin Clark isn't playing? Let's take a look at the June 7th game between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever. Tickets to see Angel Reese hit the court were going for as little as $8, cheaper than a fast food combo. And this isn't some meaningless preseason matchup. This is the WNBA, where every game counts toward playoff positioning. But without Clark in the lineup, fan interest in the game plummeted.
Indiana and Chicago are playing each other June 7th, which means that Clark will still be on the mend from injury and thus unable to compete. This has prompted ticket prices for that game to drop nearly 71%, which is proof just how much Clark means for the league's bottom line.
It's not just about the ticket prices. The energy around the game was almost non-existent. Ticket costs tell a bigger story in sports. They don't just represent the price of admission. They reflect the level of attention, excitement, and star power a player or team brings. Just compare the quiet buzz of that June 7th game to the hype building around the July 27th rematch when Caitlin Clark is expected to take the court. The difference is night and day.
The next Fever Sky game after that, on July 27th, which, like the June 7th game, is taking place at Chicago's United Center, which seats 23,500, as opposed to 10,387. The cheapest ticket for that game next month is currently at $82.
Tickets for Clark's return have surged to $165, more than 20 times the price of the earlier game. It's clear that everyone wants to be there when she's on the court. She's filling seats and driving demand in a way that speaks volumes. Without Clark, the buzz just isn't the same. And here's the awkward part. Even Angel Reese's fan base hasn't been enough to lift ticket sales when Clark's not in the lineup.
Seats for the rematch in Chicago later this year are being listed for $165. Right here. Tickets as low as $8. Tickets as low.
People aren't showing up, even for Angel Reese, who's been widely promoted as one of the biggest personalities in women's basketball. But when you take a closer look, it's not all that surprising. One analysis suggests that many of Reese's supporters may not be truly invested in her basketball career. Instead, they're drawn to her social media presence, the influencer side of her brand, more than her performance on the court.
And guys, ticket prices for this game, ooh-wee. I thought they were coming for her too, right? Question mark? Yeah, that's what Angel Reese told us. And she decided that she wanted to play the villain role.
If most of her followers are more into her TikToks or podcasts than what she does on the court, it's no surprise the stands are empty. Still not convinced? Let's rewind to their college days. Angel Reese was a star at LSU, but even then she couldn't sell out the arena for her homecoming game. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark was filling 15,000-seat arenas in Iowa like it was just another day. The contrast speaks for itself.
As if we needed more proof after the fact that LSU could not even sell half of their arena out for the return of Reese. And then a couple of days later, or whenever it was, we watched Caitlin Clark fill up 15,000 fans at Iowa and sell out. There's currently an 83% drop between the two games which presumably is old to the expectation that Caitlin Clark will be back in action July 27th.
The contrast couldn't be more obvious. It's not that Reese doesn't have fans, but the nature of her following seems to lack the die-hard basketball devotion that drives ticket sales for players like Clark. This pattern has followed them both into the WNBA, and it raises a glaring issue for Reese fans aren't just there to watch her because of her name. They're looking for something more performance leadership or that magical ability to take over a game. Therefore, there's currently an 83% drop between the two games, which presumably is owed to the expectation that Caitlin Clark will be back in action. July 27th, Clark has proven she can command a crowd, whether it's through her insane three-point range or clutch performances in big moments. Reese, on the other hand, is struggling to bring that same spark. Even casual viewers are noticing the difference. So is it fair to say Angel Reese's ticket sales are tied to Caitlin Clark's presence? The data makes it hard to argue otherwise, as if women's basketball fans needed any more proof of Caitlin Clark's effect. This tale of two tickets is even further proof. I don't know what else anybody could say when Clark isn't around. Reese's value as an individual drops significantly. It's not just about Clark stealing the spotlight. It's about Reese not commanding enough of her own. The massive gap in ticket prices from June to July was like a neon sign flashing the truth. Reese's influence, at least in the eyes of on-site fans, isn't quite stacking up. There's 20 days that separates that. In case you're wondering what that works out to, that is a $157 difference in cost of ticket. Over 20 days, of course. Numbers like these also open up more questions. Could this lack of demand for Reese be tied to what's happening on the court? Games aren't sold on name recognition alone. Fans come out to see exceptional performances for Reese. Those standout moments are getting harder to find this season, and it could explain why empty seats are becoming an unsettling trend. Let's break down exactly what's been going wrong. A very benign Angel Reese this season. Let's be honest, there's been a lot more lowlights than there's been highlights this season. Angel Reese might be a name everyone recognizes, but when it comes to her performance on the court this season, the numbers tell a whole different story. Let's start with one glaring stat. Her shooting percentage has dropped from 39.1% last year to just 31.3% this season. That kind of drop isn't just a slump. It's a major concern, especially for someone who's supposed to be a key player for the Chicago Sky. She is the worst shooting player in the league when it comes to layups, and she takes the third most in the WNBA. Think about that. She takes the third most layups attempts, that many, and is the worst shooter, 31% on layups. I don't know how that's possible when you're a 6'4" power forward. Shooting efficiency is one of the most basic statistics for success in basketball. And right now, Reese's numbers aren't just below average. They're among the worst in the WNBA. But that's not even the full picture. Reese has found herself at the bottom of one of the most important categories in the game, layups. Shockingly, she's the worst player in the WNBA at converting layups, despite taking the third most attempts in the league. Why? Because of inefficiency. You can't be snatching up rebounds all the time, getting in mess and hitting shots off your own misses. Your team's not going to win that way. That's all there is to it. Think about that. Layups are generally the easiest shot in basketball. The kinds of looks every player dreams of getting for Reese. They become missed opportunities over and over again, and this isn't just about bad luck. Each missed layup is a potential missed momentum shift. Layups can swing the direction of a game, whether it's stopping the other team's scoring run or capitalizing on a defensive stop. Missed chances under the basket make a huge impact. And right now, Reese is struggling to capitalize. ESPN placed them at 7, and Reese's performance this season seems to be the main reason why, quote, "The Sky had one of the most productive 25 and under cores in the league last season between rookies Reese and Cardoso. But some inconsistency from Reese and Cardoso also confounded advanced matrix and the team's rough start in 2025, according to ESPN. These shooting struggles aren't just a personal issue for Reese. They're directly affecting her team's success. The Chicago Sky find themselves in 7th place this season, and analysts have been vocal about connecting their losses to Reese's inefficiency. With the ball, scoring becomes harder as teammates lose confidence in someone who can't hit the shots they're expected to make, and Angel Reese, on the other hand, has been underperforming. She remains one of the top rebounders in the league, but her shooting percentage has dipped from 39.1% last season to 31.3%. That kind of breakdown doesn't just stay on the stat sheet. It bleeds into team chemistry, decision-making, and strategies on the court. The Sky overall performance has been visibly weighed down, and Reese's role in those struggles is becoming harder to ignore. Let's take it a step further by looking at how this inefficiency impacts the advanced metrics. Missed shots that close to the basket kill scoring chances in an area that should have the highest conversion rate. Honest, there's nobody making videos out there, at least to my knowledge, and if they are, they're idiots promoting the fact that Angel Reese just scored 10 points and had 11 rebounds on 29% shooting from the field, while the team loses when you're the player taking the shots but can't get them to drop you. Force the rest of the team to scramble to recover points elsewhere. That creates more difficult attempts for teammates, and eventually, it becomes bigger than just one player's performance. Everyone suffered. Reese's numbers aren't just bad for her individually. They highlight a larger issue with the Sky system and how they're relying on someone who's not reliable right now. A rebound in terms of scoring efficiency for Ree would work wonders for both her and Chicago's success as the 2025 season continues. Even her supporters have noticed the broken rhythm in her game. One analyst suggested that Ree should take far fewer shot attempts until she refines her skills. They specifically recommended she limit herself to 6 or 7 shots per game and focus on improving her inside game and mid-range jumpers. This advice feels practical when you consider her current stat lines. Until you can work on your game, until you can perfect your inside game, until you can perfect your inside 5-foot game. Do not take more than 6 or 7 shots in a game. Don't do it. Games where Reese is posting numbers like 6 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists aren't necessarily awful, but they're just not good enough for someone in her position. She might need to lean into other strengths like rebounding and playmaking while she addresses her inefficiency as a scorer. The critique doesn't stop there, though. Some fans have pointed out that Reese's occasional double-doubles don't even lead to wins. Most of the time. Yeah, believe it or not, she's still averaging a double-double, a completely meaningless double-double. And as you've heard me say countless times on this team, when Angel Reese, generally speaking, gets a double-double, the team loses. Those stats, impressive on paper, feel hollow when the Sky continues to rack up losses. It shines a light on what ESPN analysts have said: her output doesn't equal impact right now. So what's going on? How does a player as hyped as Reese find herself in this situation? And more importantly, can she turn it around? These questions hang over Reese like a spotlight. She's actually fairly decent, sort of making like a mid-range 2, but her inside game is absolutely terrible. However, there's another factor we can't ignore: her rising presence off the court. How does that dynamic play into all of this? Let's talk about it. Is Angel Reese's fan base more invested in her Instagram feed than her basketball stats? It's starting to feel that way. They call it the Angel Reese effect. But based on what we've seen this season, is there really much of an effect at all? Sure, Reese is practically a household name thanks to her larger-than-life social media presence. Imagine my surprise, though. Just imagine my surprise when I figured out the cause of this celebration. The 1.7 million lead that the media is celebrating with Angel Reese. They are referring to social media followers. She's got huge followings on TikTok and Instagram, and her off-court personality is full of confidence and charisma. Brands love her, viral moments follow her. But here's the issue. None of that star power seems to stick when it comes to packing arenas or proving dominance on the court. Take a look at the games where she's supposed to be the headliner, the one fans are paying to see. The stands are telling a different story. The seats are empty. Examine something I have long said. I don't believe her fans are actually basketball fans. I think they're fans of the social media side, the influencer side, the podcaster, blah, blah. Blah, sure, her fans might flood her comment sections or tweet in her defense, but where are they when it's time to actually show up? Even her double-doubles, which should be a badge of honor for any player, aren't winning over ticket buyers. Why critics say they reflect inefficiency rather than extraordinary play. Reese is putting up stats, yes, but they're not leading to wins, and fans aren't exactly flocking to arenas to watch her struggle with layups or miss crucial shots. That is a hell of a different $8 ticket for a Fever versus Chicago Sky game. In Chicago, you want to tell me now again that there's an Angel Reese effect, because there is no Angel Reese effect at all. This doesn't just feel like a Reese problem, it's a Caitlin Clark problem. Reese's games don't sell out, while Clark's presence turns the same arenas into hotspots. Fans know with Clark, they're getting basketball moments. They'll remember a buzzer beater, a seemingly impossible three-pointer, or a clutch pass. Meanwhile, the narrative around Ree is different. Her fan base seems to be more invested in her personality than her performance, her presence in viral TikToks, rather than on game-changing plays. What are we talking about? And then a game. In the same place, potentially, with Caitlin Clark being back on the court. Tickets are $157 higher, $8 to $165 If Clark is drawing in fans for her skill, Reese's fans seem drawn to her for everything but basketball, and this isn't just a theory. It's backed up by real numbers. As analysts have pointed out, ticket prices don't lie. Look at the economic divide between games where Caitlin Clark is expected to play versus ones without her. Reese's games, even in Chicago, can't command the same interest when Clark isn't involved. It's no secret that the Indiana Fever star guard Caitlin Clark missing 2 weeks because of a left quad strain is bad news. Not only for the Fever but for the entire WNBA, given how much interest and attention Clark demands when she's on the court. There are going to be fans of you-know-who that are going to be punching air. They're furious over this kind of stuff. One critic noted about the ticket disparity crushing Reese's attendance stats. And they're right. Somehow, some segments of Reese's fan base seem unwilling to admit what these numbers prove. Reese's influence is being overshadowed, and her performance isn't giving fans another reason to pay attention. There are going to be fans of you-know-who that are going to be punching air. They're furious over this kind of stuff. And frankly, somehow in their mind, this doesn't mean anything when it literally proves points. It proves everything. Maybe the problem is deeper. Maybe Reese's massive online brand is actually working against her as an athlete. Basketball players are often defined by what they do in game. Yet the focus with Reese tends to swirl around her fashion choices or her latest social media post. It's a disconnect that's impossible to ignore. Last night, Paige Buckner, Angel Ree, they played against each other for the first time. Now, according to the media, these are two of the biggest stars in the dump. But for some reason, this high-profile matchup was not moved to the United Center, which I believe is the largest arena in the NBA. Fans who adore her for her internet presence might not care enough to buy tickets, and the die-hard basketball audience they're paying attention to. Stats, wins, and memorable plays, areas where Ree is falling short. So what happens next for Angel Ree? Can she change the narrative and deliver performances that match her off-court fame? It's a question she needs to answer soon. Angel Reese. She continued her long-standing tradition last night of not selling out home games. According to ESPN, 9,000 people were in attendance last night, which means this miniature arena was filled to about 90% capacity. Right now, Reese's brand might look strong from the outside, but without proving her worth on the hardwood, her influence in the WNBA will be limited. Fans adore stars who deliver. And so far, Ree isn't giving her supporters or her skeptics much to hold on to when it matters most. It's clear the road ahead is fueled by one thing: results. And right now they're missing. There was no hype going into this game last night. I would imagine that most people didn't even know about him, which is strange because Angel Reese is supposed to be a star, and Paige Beckers is supposed to be a rising star. Angel Ree has everything it takes to become a major force in the WNBA. An electric personality, standout college career, and undeniable potential. But potential only goes so far when the on-court results aren't backing it up, right? Now her struggles with efficiency and impact are overshadowing her star power. And fans aren't sticking around for highlights that never come. Recognition doesn't always equate to ratings. Social media followers don't equate to attendance ratings. The Chicago Bravado. They have had 2 home games this year. 2 home games against what the media would call high-profile teams, and neither game was a sellout. Matter of fact, both games had the exact same attendance number. The numbers prove it. Whether it's ticket sales or shooting percentages, something has to change. Caitlin Clark has shown she can pack an arena through sheer skill alone. The question is, can Reese find that same magic? Everything hinges on how she answers.